doors for a new Carrington, a new training centre. Jim Radcliffe saying it wasn't up to scratch before. So a big day for Manchester United. And a reminder as well, it's a lot of money, but they agreed to deal with Leipzig worth an initial 66.3 million, 7.37 million in performance-related add-ons. So it's a big, big move for him. United, I mean, Ruben Amorim said time after time after time last season, they need a bit more on their forward line. And that forward line is going to look very different next season.
You mentioned very different. Matheus Cunha, Bryan Mbeumo, and imminently Benjamin Šeško. They've gone for it, haven't they? They've spent big in this window, haven't they?
They have. And look, it's unheard of to think of Manchester United not in Europe. But maybe just 1 year for a reset. We know Ruben Amorim said constantly, time after, even when he was at Sporting, he likes to join clubs in pre-season. He doesn't like joining mid-season. And he said it when in his press conferences here. They were very close to winning the Europa League. It was a very poor league position. But they have this reset now. And it's a very formidable front three. Matheus Cunha's been there for some time. Bryan Mbeumo's been done for a while. He was on that tour of the United States. And now Benjamin Šeško. So it's a new-look United. They've spent big money and they're going for it.
You say they're going for it. I mean, Benjamin Šeško, for one, made it very, very clear that it was Manchester United and that's all he wanted. Now, that's impressed United, hasn't it?
Yeah, because we talk about players wanting to play in Europe and Champions Leagues. Man United had none of that to offer. But you do wonder, he's 22 years of age. We might be sitting here in 12 months' time talking about Manchester United being back in the Champions League. We don't know. I think it's more about... I think it's a thank you to Sir Alex Ferguson, really. I mean, it's Manchester United. It's a historical football club. It's still one of the biggest clubs in world football. And there's that excitement there from Šeško, and I'm sure that's it. You know, Newcastle couldn't have done any more. And I think we've got to say that for Newcastle. They put in big money, big wages, but ultimately he wants to play for Man United.
Look. Trafford, because we do have some breaking news for you regarding Benjamin Šeško, and you've got it for us, haven't you, Daniel Kahn?
Absolutely, Hayley. The news we've been waiting for. Manchester United have announced the signing of Slovenia striker Benjamin Šeško on a 5-year deal until June 2030, subject to registration. And we've been telling you throughout this week, a deal agreed with RB Leipzig for around just over £73 million. And I mean, I have some quotes just to go through here from Šeško himself after finally signing that contract. Hayley, he says the history of Manchester United is obviously very special, but what really excites me is the future. When we discussed this project, it was clear that everything is in place for this team to continue to grow and compete for the biggest trophies again soon. From the moment that I arrived, I could feel the positive energy, family environment that the club has created. It's clearly the perfect place to reach my maximum level and fulfill all of my ambitions. I cannot wait to start learning from Ruben and connecting with my teammates to achieve the success that we all know we are capable of together. And just to tell you a few quotes from the director of football, Jason Wilcox, Hayley, as well. He says, Benjamin possesses a rare combination of electrifying pace and the ability to physically dominate defenders, making him one of the most exceptional young talents in world football. We have followed Benjamin's career closely, and all of our data analysis and research concluded that he has the required qualities and personality to thrive as a Manchester United player. And I think, Hayley, just hearing from Jason Wilcox there, I think him, Christopher Vivell, the director of recruitment, will be really pleased with this move. They didn't end up in a tug of war for Šeško's signature with Newcastle United over a week until their season begins against Arsenal. They now have a new weapon in their attacking armoury for Ruben Amorim to really play with this season in this new look attack, completely different to last season. Now Šeško is officially through the door, joining the likes of Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, and now this United side who struggled with goals last season now have this new look attack to really attack this season with, and I think United, as I mentioned, will be really pleased with it. They already said that they'll be unveiling their new signings today, the likes of Mbeumo, Cunha, Diego Leon, to the Old Trafford faithful when they take on Fiorentina this lunchtime, and I would very much expect Šeško to get his own unveiling to the United fans as well.
Yeah, I just want to ask you as well, actually, kind of, I guess, about the feeling and how the fans are feeling right now and what the atmosphere will be like with these new signings, unbeaten in pre-season. The new fancy training ground, of course, unveiled yesterday as well. Do you feel a different feeling from the fans this season, a bit of a clean slate almost, in these new big signings, particularly with this one today at this time of the season, before it all kicks off next week against Arsenal, things are feeling a little different?
It does, Hayley, because last year couldn't have got much worse in terms of where the club were at, where they finished the season, 15th in the Premier League, losing that European final against Tottenham, where really they didn't cause them all that many issues in terms of trying to break them down. But I think what Ruben Amorim and Manchester United have tried to do over this summer is just rebuild the club. I mean, you talk about the training ground reopening yesterday. That is a huge step. I mean, in the next few months, they're going to be relocating a lot of staff to the training ground because they want that to be the beating heart of the club, with a theatre of dreams behind me where they want this club to really be performing and picking up those vital results and being back to the pinnacle of, you know, English football essentially. But this feeling, I spoke to Diogo Dalot and Tom Heaton yesterday at the training ground, Hayley, and they both spoke about how this pre-season does feel different. It does feel more focused, more together, and that has to be down to a lot of Ruben Amorim, what Jason Wilcox and his team above have been able to do this summer. There's still work to do though, let's not forget. There's still some outgoings that they're going to have to sort out because there are players at the club. I had a tour of the training ground yesterday, Hayley, and there are still spots in that changing room for the likes of Jadon Sancho and Alejandro Garnacho, who we know aren't part of the first team picture going forward. So the focus will be on sales going forward. But on your point, it does feel like with the training ground refurbishment, with Šeško and Buemo, Cunha over the line, it does feel like there is positive feelings going into this season. But look, if in the first 10 minutes against Arsenal next weekend they concede a goal, that might all change. Of course it might. But at the moment, I think the way I saw that team yesterday, full of smiles, positive energy, it feels like going into the season, United probably haven't felt as close-knit as they have in previous years.
Look, Šeško's imminent arrival is going to have repercussions elsewhere in that squad because it's going to throw further doubt on Rasmus Højlund's future, Michael. Clearly, his game time is going to be impacted by Šeško's arrival. Look, RB Leipzig did want to bring in Rasmus Højlund on loan, but he's been very bullish, publicly at least, about wanting to fight for his place in the Manchester United first team. However, it is now thought that bids of around £40 million would be considered by Manchester United for Rasmus Højlund. Now, interestingly, he wasn't one of those 5 players that we were talking about throughout this transfer window that Manchester United were willing to listen to offers for. Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Tyrell Malacia, Antony, and Alejandro Garnacho. Let's talk about Garnacho because there have been developments, haven't there?
There have been developments. One thing we've known all summer is that Chelsea like the player, but Manchester United want £50 million to sell Alejandro Garnacho this summer. It's not as if they don't think he's a good player. It's just, it looks like he needs to move on in terms of maybe the relationship he's got with Ruben Amorim. He was very unhappy with his Europa League final snub. He's made that very public. But the key from Chelsea's point of view, they think they can sign Garnacho for less than Manchester United's asking price. But there hasn't been a bid yet. And going back to Manchester United's side, he's got 3 years remaining on his contract at United. You feel